Hey, it's Andy. How you doing? I'm good. So, have you ever listened to music? I have. I enjoy music. I think it's wonderful. I even listened to a little bit this morning. So, if you've ever listened to music before, and I'm sure you have, you might have noticed that sometimes when you listen to a sad song, you feel sad. And sometimes when you listen to a happy song, you feel happy. And sometimes when you listen to an angry song, you feel angry. It's almost as if the vibration and the frequency of the music changes your vibration and your frequency. It changes your emotional state of being. And of course, this is not just with music. This is with many different art forms. You see, when we come into contact with art, we are coming into contact with the artist's state of being, with their frequency, with their vibration when they created that. If you look at a painting by Van Gogh, maybe it's a painting of a tree, you're not just looking at a tree, you're looking at how that tree affected Van Gogh, his state of being at that moment. He portrays that to you, and when you look at the painting, you're able to feel that. I don't know, maybe you've had a roommate. Have you ever had a roommate? Maybe a husband or a wife, a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And let's say you're in the kitchen and you're doing some dishes and you're feeling pretty good about life. And then your roommate comes in and he or she's all pissed off and angry with the world, and you notice the vibration, the frequency of the entire room shifts and changes. And maybe even changes your emotional frequency and vibration as well. And you start feeling angry. In fact, if this happens a lot, maybe when the roommate comes in, you go to another room because you don't want to feel that. You don't want to be affected by that. You see, it happens all the time. We have the ability to affect each other. We have the ability to change other people based on our state of being, and they have the ability to change and affect our state of being. It happens all the time. And one way it's been happening recently, or in the last couple years, a way that I don't even think we're ready to deal with yet in a very large way. I don't even know if we have an idea of the possibilities or the negative implications or what could happen with social media. You see, with social media, we have the ability to affect other people with our emotional state of being, and they have the ability to affect ours at a very, very large scale. Let's just say you come across an image or a story about something negative that has happened in the world recently. I think maybe last week after Trump got elected, there was this image of a wall with something like white supremacy or maybe the N-word on it. Something very, very negative. So you see this image or you read this story and it makes you feel angry. It makes you feel sad. Maybe it makes you feel afraid. And what's happening here is the state of that image, or those images typically come out of fear and anger. The one who did that, the person who expressed him or herself on that wall, is expressing a sense of fear and of anger, and it's misguided, but it still is that. And so when you see that image, when you read that story about that image, you have the same emotion, that vibration, that tone has rubbed off on you, and now you're angry at the injustice. Now you're afraid, and now you're saddened by it. And what do? You share that image, and you share your anger, and you share your fear. Maybe you share your sadness. And when you do this, two things have happened. One, you've shared that image. You've shared that expression. Now the person who wrote that thing on that wall is being shared with the entire world, or everyone that you've come in contact with, or your friends have come in contact with through social media. Now that image, which was isolated to that one small wall in that one small town, has been spread through the entire world. Not only that, you've shared your response to it. If you're angry about it, you want other people to be angry about it. You want to be validated in your anger, in your fear. You want to know that it's okay to think this is not right. And it is okay to think this is not right. It is okay to be afraid and to be angered by something like this. So you spread that. And that's what has happened in this scenario. You have spread your anger. You have spread that emotional state. You are the roommate who has just walked in the room. Now, why could this possibly be a negative thing? The argument goes, some people would say that we need to be informed. That's the news argument. Why do we watch the news? Why do we listen to the news? Why do we read the news? Because we need to be informed about what's going on in the world. Of course, we all know that the news is just a very small picture of the state of the world's being at any given time. They show you certain stories. They tend to show you conflict-ridden stories because conflict is what draws people in. So we watch the news, or we spread these stories, or we spread these images because we think the world needs to be informed. The world needs to know about the injustices. The world needs to know about this. That's the news argument. However, what's really happening when you spread this? So two things happen. One, you've spread the image itself, the expression itself, the image of the wall and the negative racist comment. You've spread that. And two, you've spread your emotional state of being. Here's the two things that can happen when you do that. One, the people who come across that image agree with you, which is the vast majority. Most people will agree that that's a terrible, terrible thing, that that expression of negativity just has no place in the modern world, in our semi-enlightened culture. It has no place here. We need to move beyond that. But you're not going to change their minds because they already agree with you. You're just going to make them angry as well. And that kind of contributes to that sense of solidarity, that sense of validation, which we crave on social media. We want people to like it, to agree with it, so we can be validated in our own feelings. So we haven't changed their minds. We've just maybe made them angry as well, showed them another reason to be pissed off, and been validated that they agree with us. Now there's going to be a smaller percentage probably who either A, agree with that sentiment, like, yes, white supremacy, yay, racism, which I think is going to be a very, very small percentage of the population because, to tell you something factual, most people who are racist don't think they're racist. And two, most people aren't going to agree with that. So the second type of person, not the type of person who says, yes, this is bad and I'm angry too, the other type of person is probably going to be the one who doesn't think it's a big deal and doesn't understand why you're so angry about it. They just don't think that type of racism exists. It's not a big deal. It's just writing on a wall. Now, have you changed anything in that instance? No, because you're the angry roommate who just walked in the room, and they're the roommate who just went into the other room to not be affected by your anger. Because the reason they don't think it's a big deal is because they haven't accepted it yet. They haven't embraced that there's that type of negativity in the world. But you being angry about it, you being pissed off, even you being afraid or saddened by it, is not necessarily going to change their mind. So what do we do? Do we just stop sharing these things? Do we live in our own little bubble, and when something happens in the world that we think is an injustice, do we not spread it? Do we not share it? Do we stop watching the news? Well, not necessarily. Let's just think and embrace what we are sharing. When you share that image, do you really want to share your anger along with it? Do you want other people to be angry? Maybe you do, I don't know. Or do you want to share a solution? Do you want to share some peace, some love, some joy? Do you want to say that, hey, I came across this image, but this is not how I see the world. And I know that this person who put this on there is just afraid and just angry. And I want to offer something to counter that. I want to offer a solution. I know you guys agree with me that this image that we came across on Facebook or on the internet is a negative thing. I know you agree with me, but here is a way we can shift. Here's a way we can change that. So maybe we should be thinking about what we're spreading, what we're sharing with each other. Not just the image, not just our anger, but a solution, a way to counter that. A way to say, well, here's what's happening, or here's one perception of reality. Let me offer you another one. Let me give you something we can work on this from. Let's analyze what's going on here, and let's change it. Let's fix it. You might have noticed, and this is what I want to close with, you might have noticed that there are certain people who don't seem to be affected as much by the extreme negativity in the world and by these certain images like racial slurs written on walls. And those are the people who tend to make the most change. And this is why. It's because they have achieved a state of being that is peaceful. And peace is not a certain vibration. Let's say anger vibrates at this, and happiness vibrates at this, and sadness vibrates at this. Peace is not a certain vibration. Peace, joy, and love is the absence of vibration. It's being able to look around you and look at the world the way it is from a peaceful state of being. You still accept that that person is angry, that that's an expression of fear, that that's an expression of happiness, that maybe we need to change this to make the world a better place, we need to move toward unity, but you do so from a peaceful state of being. Therefore, when you engage that and encounter it and share it or share a solution to it, you do so from a peaceful state of being. And that is what you're sharing. You're sharing that peace, that love, that joy. You're sharing that equanimity. Equanimity is the word I'm thinking of. So anyway, as you're moving through the world today, especially the world of social media, which is where you're probably watching this, remember what you're sharing. Remember what you're contributing to. Are you just sharing your anger? Are you sharing your sadness? Are you sharing your fear? Or are you sharing a solution to that? Are you saying, well, yes, I'm angry about this, I'm saddened by this, but here's where I want to be, and here's where I want us to be. Think about that.